Chosen ones, hear this clearly. The very lips that once dismissed you are now choking on their own words. The same people who treated you as background noise are waking up to the reality that you are the headline. They ignored your value when it was quiet. Now the whole town is buzzing with your name, your work, your glow, and they cannot scroll past you anymore. This is not coincidence. This is karma served in daylight. Heaven has flipped the script. The one who thought they broke you is now forced to watch you rise in silence, prosper in discipline, and radiate in a way that money and clout can't fabricate. They're running back, stumbling over excuses, acting as though the door was never closed. But don't be fooled. Their return is not fueled by love or conscience. It's fueled by fear of missing out. Your worth has awakened, and now curiosity has turned into obsession. You may be asking, should I let them in? Have they changed? Hear this truth. If they couldn't see your value in the silence, they don't deserve your presence in the spotlight. Their karma is public recognition of what they lost. Your victory is proof that God always vindicates his chosen. Declare this in the comments if you receive it. My silence was strength. My rise is justice. Growth is not a team endeavor. Less noise, fewer hands, and tighter circles were required during the season that shaped you. You didn't chase your way here. You choose your time, your limits, and your concentration to get here. Selected is not a title. It's a position. It indicates that you don't try out for the role you currently have. And selected ones, allow me to take a moment to solicit your assistance before we proceed. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel if this message is lifting your spirits and igniting your inner fire. This mission continues because of that little gesture. It motivates us to continue producing high-energy, life-altering, and inspirational material that reminds you of your identity and your values. Every share, like, and subscribe is more than simply encouragement. It contributes to the development, expansion, and forward motion of this force. Imagine this. On a stormy shore, you're a lighthouse. It's not a pickup line, your beam. It is a norm. It exposes those who are careless and leads the true ones. There are ships that steer true. People target you because they know that the only way to feel near is to crash. Not all methods are flattering. Some are wearing applause as tests. Recon disguises some of them as reunions. And since they never learned to create their own fire, some people come here to take its warmth. Your role is to distinguish, not to dim. But what if I never get them back? Hear me, my beloved chosen ones. You didn't lose your soul partner if distance erases them. A stall was lost by you. Pace, not fear, is the paving on your route. You're not running late. You're deadly, accurate, methodical, and unconcerned. Observe how the proper doors swing silently after you stop banging on doors that never open. Your silence becomes the thunder that narrates the whole narrative once you stop trying to explain it. You're occupied with construction. Announcements are made by loud persons. Calendars are made by powerful individuals. Since your adversaries like the term revenge, let's discuss it. A clapback isn't true retaliation. Type amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. The calendar is filled with things they are unable to cancel. It's the expression on their face when they see that you didn't need their consent to keep your peace. It's the little improvements. Your skin gleaming as if you slept on calm itself, your network, your salary, and your posture. Flashing a scoreboard is not required. The score is determined by how unaffected you are by their performance. Don't share your receipts. The highlight reel has already been uploaded by life. Why are they upset about my rise? As your achievement serves as a mirror. It displays their bad choices and lost opportunities. They let you go even though you were within grasp. They want to change the conclusion now that you are out of reach. Nostalgia will be marketed as progress. Call it closure and slip in with empty hands and gentle recollections. This is the filter. They don't deserve your microphone if they can't make your whisper louder. Their feet don't belong on your stage if they can't endure the grind with you. Yes, there will be noise, selected ones. Let hum. Relevance is indicated by noise. To be silent is to be forgotten. The chatter is evidence of a powerful signal. You are live, breathing proof that you may change course without their consent and that you are capable of growing beyond the version of yourself they believed would remain little. Maintain a steady stride. The lion's roar is not appropriate for every bark. Keep in mind that the trap is not the insult when prompted. It's your response. Turn down the circus invitation. Clowns and crowns don't quarrel. Type amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. Ignoring numbers is chilly, isn't it? To entertain what drains you is expensive. Boundaries are doors with standards, not barriers. You may be friendly without being confined and nice without being accessible. Tell them you made a modification if they inquire about it. You discovered the distinctions between history and home, chemistry and compatibility, and respect and attention. You discovered that being near someone carelessly is simply being around them. You're done offering discounts now that you know how much peace costs. Wear the heat well, my lovely chosen ones. Because you performed the unglamorous repetitions while no one was looking, you are the hot ticket. You raised your floor, tightened your circle, rewired your routines, and sat with the difficult questions. The past demanded a seat it didn't help construct, and the room now tilts as you walk in. Give them a chance. Allow them to observe from the rope. You can't sell your light. It serves your goals, your ideals, and your future. Tap in, like it, subscribe, and drop a 777 if this resonates with you, so I know you're taking control of your pace rather than their terror. The table is ready. Choose a seat and enjoy your meal. Allow the noise to consume itself. And selected one, allow me to take a moment to express my gratitude. Your presence is what keeps this fire going. Regardless of whether you've been riding with us from the beginning or this is your first time entering this area. Show it if you're prepared to take center stage and accept the reality that you've turned into the hottie that everyone is talking about. I can tell you're committed to this path if you hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a 77 in the comments. And a huge thank you goes a long way toward helping us provide more of this high voltage, life-changing stuff to you if you want to push our objective even farther. Stay there, because what follows will validate all the indications that you are a chosen one. You were made to bear this type of burden, something that ordinary people cannot. And now, let's dissect it in detail. First, when old ghosts start to haunt you. Nothing bothers an adversary more than discovering that the person they threw away has become the prize that everyone else is vying for as yesterday's garbage creeps back. This is the harsh truth that your skeptics are now choking on, my beloved chosen ones. Instead of collapsing in their absence, you constructed castles out of the debris. They thought you would beg for leftovers, but you made feasts out of them. The roles have now been reversed, and the same hands that dropped you are now attempting to grab you once again. I am aware of the questions you may be asking yourself. Why now? Why are they only now appearing after all this time? The response is concise yet straightforward. Strength. Everything changes with power. They became used to the idea that you will always be undervalued, disregarded, or simply ignored. However, you're no longer invisible the instant your name becomes significant and your energy starts to attract attention like a magnet. You've turned into their regret, their reminder, and their lost opportunity. And trust me, chosen one, remorse is more painful than hatred. Consider this. Since you're the actor they turned down, the film won an award without them. They questioned you as an athlete, but now you're changing the records. They ghosted you, but when they go through their feed, they find that you're living the life they've always wanted. Because people don't grieve for things they never cared about. That is the hurt they bear. Before it was too late, they lament what they had taken for granted. Their response is not affection because of this. It's a friendly greeting wrapped in desperation. You may observe this similar trend recurring throughout history. Those same critics subsequently boasted that they knew Michael Jordan when he was cut from his high school basketball team. The same network then hailed Oprah Winfrey as their biggest story after she was sacked. After being forced to leave his own firm, Steve Jobs was urged to come back and salvage it. The cycle is obvious. The same doors that banged shut suddenly spring open as a selected one rises. But selected ones, don't be duped. Sometimes those doors don't swing with the best of intentions. This is when things become dicey. Nostalgia. The drug of nostalgia is potent. It deceives you into forgetting the heartache and only remembering the positives. Absence does not equate to progress, yet it whispers, maybe they've changed. Maybe this time will be different. They haven't changed just because time has gone by. Type amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. Actually, a lot of people return because they've deteriorated rather than because they've developed, and they're hoping your brilliance will hide their shortcomings. Remember when they had you, selected ones. They disregarded your calls, canceled arrangements, and rolled their eyes at your aspirations. They didn't stand when you needed support, they didn't cheer when you won, and they didn't see you when you were directly in front of them. They now want to sit at the table you bled to construct after you've pieced yourself back together. What are they bringing this time that they didn't bring before? You ask. They're come to take, not to give, if the response consists only of hollow words and rehashed promises. This is the reality that they will never acknowledge. They weren't just reminded of what they lost by your accomplishment. It revealed their true selves. Seeing someone you previously denigrated get to a greater position than you can ever reach gives you a unique type of hurt. Witnessing a stranger achieve success is one thing. It's another to see someone you personally underestimate turn out to be completely incorrect. Their current taste of your name is harsh because of this. Their, "Hi stranger," messages seem so phony because of this. And I am aware of the temptation, my lovely chosen ones. It's easy to respond, to amuse yourself, to believe that if you ignore them, you're the bad guy. Here's your reminder, however. You're not required to answer every knock. Sometimes the loudest message you can make is to remain silent. I have moved on if I remain silent. You don't get a second chance if you remain silent. Your fingerprints are not necessary for my future, silence says. The true power of being selected is this. It takes more than simply time or skill. It has to do with control. Who has access is up to you. Who sits at your table is up to you. Which bridges remain burnt and which remain erected is up to you. You have the freedom to choose who joins you on your ascent and who observes from a distance. The selected one is not attracted to all magnets. Some are repulsive. Your growth is now a filter. No matter how hard they attempt to stick, the incorrect ones will continue to slide off, while the right ones will feel drawn in instinctively. You may nod in agreement with this. According to social psychology, when it comes to relationships, individuals often regret not acting more than they regret doing. This means that those who let you leave will be sorry for losing you for a longer period of time than they will be sorry for whatever they did while you were around. Their words seem so weighty because of this. They are aware that they cannot change the past. The weight of their own error permeates every word they give. Here's the reality check, selected ones. It's not necessary to despise them. If you do not want to, you're not even required to block them. That's not as complicated as your retaliation. The life you're now leading is your finest form of retaliation. Every quiet victory, every goal scored, and every grin serves as a reminder that they were mistaken about you. Furthermore, it endures longer than any argument. They may act as if they have always had faith in you, but you are aware of the reality. When no one else would, you recall clapping for yourself. You recall moving on without anybody checking in. You recall what it was like to remain silent when you most needed help. Your compass should now be that memory. They don't deserve to be at your side in the glory if they couldn't stand by you throughout the hardship. Therefore, don't be tempted when the people who let you go start coming back. Take that as confirmation. Verification of your indisputable worth. Verification that your presence will never be forgotten. Verification of being the winner. Not everyone who is selected has another chance to win the reward. Grinning from a distance and allowing the past to see your future from the outside might sometimes be the most potent gesture of self-love. The second is the strength of leaving without a fight. Give up chasing shadows. Instead, construct your throne. Realizing that the person they expected to crawl is suddenly sitting on the throne they never thought you could construct is the worst shock an adversary can get. Call it what it is, my lovely chosen ones. This is the pain that people who undervalued you are feeling. Like it was the final train out of town. They saw you pleading for their attention, checking their status, and pursuing their acceptance. They slammed doors in your face after picturing you banging on them. But now look at you. You've raised your crown, closed your own entrance, and created an area so far up people can't even get there without looking up. It's the inevitable consequence of understanding that your value cannot be compromised. The harsh lesson that your chosen one learned was that pleading for presence only serves to diminish its worth. Consider it. How often has anybody shown genuine gratitude for something that is always accessible, always waiting, and always forgiving? No, they don't. People don't cherish things they think will always be there. They value things they risk losing. At that point, your power changed. Consider this. When a knight leaves the castle, a monarch never gives up his throne to pursue him. In the marketplace, a queen does not toss her crown on the floor and chase after a stray person. Why? Because they would be lowering their own bar if they did. That's precisely what you discovered. You stop moving into other people's shadows and out of your light when you stop chasing after them. Furthermore, it was never intended for the chosen one to dwell in the shadow of others. I understand now what you may be wondering, but ignoring them is cruel, isn't it? Stopping reaching out is frigid, isn't it? No, the one that was selected. It's lucidity. It's self-respect. It's a survival tactic used by someone who has finally realized their worth. You began attracting when you stopped pursuing. Your words were drowned out by your silence. Your presence was never more conspicuous than your absence, and they're irritated by it. As soon as you stopped knocking, they began to reload their feeds, decipher your messages, inquire about your partner, and pose queries they never would have imagined being interested in. They're unable to determine if they could bring you back, even if they tried for the first time. The wound they're unable to heal is that uncertainty. This is a straightforward but painful psychological reality. Only things that people think they could lose are pursued. There was no hurry when you were always accessible. However, you turn into a mystery the instant you withdrew. And a locked door that once swung wide open is the perfect way to ignite addiction. This has already been shown by history. Steve Jobs did not plead for his job back after he was fired from Apple. He constructed another object, and Apple sprang into action. Beyoncé did not ask for permission to leave her former organization. The world had to come to her because of the legacy she left behind. History's chosen ones don't seek praise. The whole world chases after them, and you have entered precisely that area. But what if you lose them forever if you go away? You could mutter to yourself, let me tell you the truth. If someone is erased by distance, they were never really yours. It is not necessary to pursue genuine ties. In the midway, they meet you. On a one-sided pursuit, a permanent link cannot be formed. That isn't a collaboration. It's a pursuit. Your running days are over, selected ones. It's not that you stop caring. Rather, it's that you stopped squandering time, energy, and effort on individuals who just heard what you had to say but never paid attention. Everything changed the instant you made the decision to stop rushing after what wasn't moving in your direction. You continued to pursue individuals. You gave up pursuing events, results, and approval. You discovered how to allow what is intended for you find you. Because true things don't need to be begged for. Anything sincere will be delivered accurately, respectfully, and consistently. When you're in that sort of vibe, people will remember your boundaries without you having to remind them. Check their tone before speaking to you, and reconsider their approach before entering your space. The adversary despises this version of you, selected ones. They can't use quiet to tug your strings anymore. They're no longer able to use crumbs as bait. Your dread of being alone can no longer be controlled by them, because you are no longer weak when you are alone. You have the privilege. It's a place where you rejuvenate, rebuild, and develop into an unbreakable version of yourself. It's proof that you can feel whole without their approval. Don't get me wrong. This isn't about getting even. Respect is at issue. There is no cruelty in blocking them. Peacekeeping is what it is. It is not pride to ignore their hesitant words. It's evidence that the topic has outgrown you. It's not a test to insist they arrive right. It is a norm, because in your presence, anything less than that will just not last. Imagine yourself with velvet rope drawn in a castle. With the appropriate invitation, the proper individuals will enter via the front gate. The incorrect ones will keep going around outside, attempting to enter from every possible way. And you're not under any stress. There are other things for you to do. Research demonstrates this. People appreciate things they have to earn more. The mind automatically considers something is less worth when it is too accessible. Your unwillingness to pursue is thus psychological mastery rather than merely emotional power. You're demonstrating to the world that your presence is earned rather than given away. Your energy is not cheap, and your time is not free. Let them ponder, then. Allow them to mentally relive each exchange. Let them keep scrolling in the hopes of finding a clue, because you began creating a new tale as soon as you stopped running. One in which they're the ones standing at your door, recognizing they no longer have the right to enter rather than you. This is the chosen one's strength. You stroll so confidently that you don't need to sprint for anything. It's understanding that you will never have to sacrifice yourself to maintain what is really intended for you. And grin as they lure you back into the hunt. Keep in mind the throne you established without them. It's more than simply a chair. It's a representation. Evidence that your worth was independent of who remained or who went. And those that are really intended for you won't ever force you to flee. They will accompany you on your journey, always arriving on time and greeting you in the light. Third, the flame they can't put out is your shine. They can't take their eyes off the blaze that is your ascent. Being forced to see the same person they belittle become the uncontrollable fire is the most unsettling thing for an adversary. That's just where your skeptics are at the moment, my beloved chosen ones. You can't be scrolled past. They are unable to sit quietly. Furthermore, they are unable to acknowledge the reality that you don't borrow your shine. It's constructed. Your current actions are evidence that you never required them. And that insight is more painful than any slight you could ever return. Let's dissect it. You become an irresistible magnet the instant you began to win without their cheers. And I'm not simply referring about tangible achievements. The promotion, the vehicle, and the home. It's the fire that cannot be purchased. Your face is calm. Your self-assurance changes a room before you even say a word. The stance of someone who is fully aware of their identity. Selected one. It's the way you've been building little triumphs one after another, while others were busy muttering that you wouldn't succeed. Now doors are opening. Your name keeps coming up in discussions that you aren't even there for. Additionally, chances that you didn't even pursue are now emerging. It's no accident. That is proof. And it's motivating for the proper individuals. They admire your grind after seeing it. They applaud as your ascent serves as a reminder of what is achievable. But it's torture to the wrong people, because this is the sting they are unable to remove. They are unable to claim credit for it. When you were quietly grinding, they weren't there. When you had to cheer for yourself because no one else would, they weren't there. When you were laying this foundation of discipline, rejection, and loneliness, they weren't there. They now stand outside, admiring the structure's majesty, and they regret that their sole contribution was skepticism. You may be asking why my success bothers the chosen one so much. Do they not need to move on? The solution is straightforward yet severe. Your development is tangible evidence that they were mistaken. Furthermore, nobody likes being reminded of their poor decision-making. Every room your name enters, every achievement you add, every victory you share serves as an unavoidable mirror for others. A mirror of their jealousy, their lost opportunity, their bad decision. Witnessing a stranger achieve success is one thing. That's far away. You may ignore it. However, they experience a daily stomach hit in secret when they see someone they previously denigrated become the talk of the town. This is when the irony really shines through. They meant you to be invisible, but now it's hard to ignore your radiance. Your presence is the loudest retort to their attempt to silence you. You ascended without their consent, even if they intended you to remain underneath them. Now that they have been selected, their only choice is to observe. Keep an eye on the trend of your name. See how your circle grows. Watch as their justifications wane and you shine brighter. This is the lovely part. It's not even necessary to rub it in. You don't need to respond with a clap or publish lengthy arguments. The fact that you are here is sufficient evidence. The receipt is your radiance. When they attempted to use rejection to extinguish your brightness, you used it as fuel. You whispered discipline while they whispered doubts. They believed that leaving would break you, but it really strengthened you. The outcomes are now in their face. Unquestionable. Now let's discuss why they keep coming back. Their absence isn't due to love. Relevance is the reason they are appearing. They now have prestige and money that they couldn't have obtained on their own by standing next to you. They might mentally alter the tale to make it seem like they always knew you would make it when they're seen close to you. But don't be duped, chosen one. Not for you, but for the audience they're applauding. Furthermore, some of those applause is really meant to blend in and conceal their true desire to yank you off the platform that you have earned. What part do you play this season? Easy. Don't become any smaller. Don't be dim. Don't feel bad about your radiance. Let them observe. Let them speak. Allow them to experience the sting of knowing that they are unable to extinguish a spark that was not given to you. Fire was used to forge it. Because their shadows become more visible the hotter you burn, it is your responsibility to continue glowing. And their actual issue is with that selected one. Your ascent does more than only demonstrate your self-control. It emphasizes how lacking they are. Your value is not just shown by your wins. They reveal that they were blind to it while it was directly in front of them. So, selected one, stand tall. Your shine is something that cannot be compromised throughout this season. You don't need approval. You don't need retribution. You don't have to elaborate. The loudest response is already your fire. And you win again every time they turn to face you, whisper your name, or can't help but stare because the flame they used to laugh at is now the one they can't take their eyes off. The fourth person, with blades in their hands, grins at the entrance. Look for the knife beneath the grin when the past comes rattling. Not all enemies bring chains back. In an attempt to make you forget that they previously left you wounded, they sometimes return with flowers. This is when the game becomes challenging, my beloved selected ones. Now you're sparkling. It's not a rumor that you shine. It's true. Before you even walk into the room, they sense it. It's a magnetic shine. It draws more than just supporters. It also attracts pretenders, opportunists, and bystanders. The cost of being the hottie that everyone is talking about is that, on lips that formerly spit quiet, the name of that person is blazing. But let's be clear about one thing. Not everyone who is now at your door is worthy of a seat. Some people arrive grinning, but their smiles are fake. You see, selected ones, your staircase fills up as you level up. Everybody wants to climb it, but they don't necessarily have good intentions. Because your success makes their own lives seem insignificant, some people only want to see the world from the top. Like robbers stealing electricity from your outlet, some want to drain your vitality. And other people want to show themselves that you were never really ahead of them by tripping you in the middle of a step. You need to hone your vision throughout this season because of this. In addition to praise, the ascent draws sabotage masquerading as assistance. I get your thought process, but what if they have changed? What if they were humbled by time away? Don't let the outfit deceive you, chosen one. The venom of a snake remains constant even if its skin sheds. Not everyone returns because they have matured. They return more frequently because you have. They are intimidated by your progress, and their return is more about consuming than it is about connection. They want a piece of your progress after seeing it. Not to applaud you, but to assert that they are close to something they have never before believed in. Consider how they return. They never take the lead by apologizing. Rather, it is "I've missed you," or "we should catch up." These are sugar-coated phrases meant to make you forget the poison they left behind. But pay serious attention. Choose one. Your instincts already know. When they reappear, there's that subtle tension, that unsettling sensation when you read their message. That's your intuition warning you. Have faith. Your instincts are not paranoid. It's defense. This is the truth. Reconciliation does not equate to every comeback. Reconnaissance is the basis for certain comebacks. They're looking for intelligence. They want to know who you're speaking with, how you're accumulating victories, and what opportunities are presenting themselves. They want to steal your formula or ruin it, not because they're content. They're circling for that reason. Their sudden friendliness seems strange because of this. Their purpose is not to assist you in building. They are here to ensure that your dominion trembles and to weaken the foundation. Therefore, ask yourself the important questions before you enter the door. Are they coming to steal the blueprint, or are they just there to add bricks to my empire? Do they see me, or just my possessions? Are they applauding my development, or are they only holding on to my glow? And selected ones, you already know the truth if your response is one of reluctance. Things won't be necessary to overthink things when the intention is sincere. It's alluring. I am aware that nostalgia is strong. Your heart recalls the happy times, the giggles, and the connection that existed in the past. However, nostalgia is a harmful substance. It never plays the heartbreak, only the highlights. You forget about the betrayals, the cancellations, and the stillness when you needed their voice. You must thus remain stable. Being selected entails realizing that peace is more important than any kind of reunion. Additionally, remember this. It's uncommon that you grow. You're not aligned properly. Your crown is made for you, not for someone who has attempted to take it away. You cannot afford to reuse existing characters in a new plot because of this. You don't have to let them in just because they knock. Actually, sometimes the most effective thing you can do is to remain silent. I have outgrown you, whispers the silence. Silence indicates that you are no longer able to access. This door is shut, according to the silence. Keep in mind that not every guest is a gift. A few are distracting, a few are tests. In this season, your exam is easy. Defend your tranquility at any costs. You have already shown that you are capable of rising without them. Now, keep them out and show that you can maintain your status. Don't give up your crown for sentimentality. Don't let phony applause steal your shine. Remember that the same hands that are now grabbing for you are the same ones that previously let you elude them. Therefore, don't merely listen to the past when it calls. Look at the hands they're concealing. Do they come to give because they are full or empty because they came to take? It is too costly to risk your future on repurposed intentions. The stage you're standing on is no longer theirs to touch, so let the audience applaud. Scars that become your shine are number 5. The post-quake light. Seeing you shine with a light your adversaries have attempted to smother is the most frightening thing you can do to them. Let me be honest with you, my beloved chosen ones. They're looking at more than simply a light right now. It is the aftermath of all the storms you have weathered. They observe that you have a confident demeanor and walk tall with your shoulders straight. The scars behind the sheen, however, are invisible to them. The quiet fights you waged when it seemed like the world had turned its back on you. The late nights you sobbed into your pillow, and the mornings you dragged yourself out of bed without anybody cheering you on are all hidden from them. They see the flames, but they don't know that you came here from ashes. Your light wasn't a gift, chosen one. It was gained during a season in which everything superfluous was eliminated. Friends who were really enemies vanished. Your soul-draining lovers showed their real selves. Everything that kept you tiny, including your jobs, locales, and habits, fell apart. Since you were selected, not because you were cursed, there was no punishment for you. You were getting ready. The training ground was the purging. To be able to fully embrace who you are, you had to let go of things you believed you couldn't live without. Consider it this way. Earthquakes change the land, not just destroy it. The earth has permanently moved, as shown by aftershocks. That's you now, selected one. Everyone who doubted you will have their memories shaken by you. The obvious evidence that their effort to bury you just made you stronger is your shine. And you returned in a very different form after sprouting. Instead of a funeral, they were treated to fireworks. And I'm aware of the question that keeps coming up in your head. Why must it have been so painful? What was the reason behind my perception of losing everything before gaining anything? Because real-time growth is never pleasant. Only under pressure can diamonds form. Fire is the only way to forge steel. And the devastation that made you start again was the only thing that made you, your radiance, possible. You're being built brick by brick, scar by scar, by what they believed was shattering you. Why are you shining this way? They ask you now. Why do you present yourself in such a different manner? You may remark, I turned my pain into fuel with a grin. That shine isn't false, cosmetics, or filters. It's the unadulterated vitality of survivor. All of your old wounds have turned into knowledge. Now, every betrayal serves as a compass to help you navigate. Each setback serves as a springboard. They see the calmness on your face, but they are unaware that it was earned through restless nights and unrelenting discipline. When all else is taken away, the purge selected one reveals who you are. This is what your adversaries find intolerable. The version of you that doesn't need their approval, their business, or their praise has taken the place of the one they attempted to destroy. Now that you are planted in yourself, you are impervious to their absence or rumors. That's why they find your shine so annoying. Because they secretly know that they lost the opportunity to darken you ever again in addition to losing access to you. Imagine it this way. You're a phoenix. They were dazzled by your wings, soaring higher than they could have ever dreamed as they gathered around your ashes, anticipating stillness. You serve as a live reminder that destruction is really progress in disguise and that endings are illusions. They cannot reject your present, but they may lie about your history. They may mutter about your shortcomings, but they can't take away from your brilliance. And Selected One, I want to remind you of something crucial. This glow isn't fleeting. It's not brittle. Since it was rooted in reality, it is the type of radiance that endures. Ordinary folks may hire attention, wear borrowed crowns, or pretend to be confident for a night. However, because every bit of suffering was turned into strength, only the selected may radiate from inside. They are unnerved by your brilliance because of this. It is not replicable. You cannot buy it. Furthermore, it cannot be killed. Let your silence be your response the next time they inquire about how you survived without them. Allow your aura to communicate more effectively than words. Let your achievement be the unexpected response. Because it's no coincidence that you're glowing now. For surviving storms that would have swept them away, it serves as your badge, evidence, and prize. The beauty of all is right here. You're still getting up. You're not even at your best yet. You remind them of what they lost, what they spent, and what they will never be able to regain every day that you continue to shine. They believe that cutting you off would cause you to break. However, it only liberated you. They're now forced to watch you enter places they will never go into, grin in ways that they can never comprehend, and shine with an incomprehensible fire. Choose one and proudly flaunt that glow. Don't minimize it. If someone tries to climb back in, don't dim it. Your radiance is simultaneously the celebration, the warning, the proof, and the aftershock. The greatest thing is that this is only the start. The same individuals who believed you would fail are now compelled to watch from the shadows while your brilliance burns down the whole theater. The day your stillness turned into a storm is number 6. Their foundation is shook by the tremor of your words. Nothing frightens an adversary more than the stillness they believe to be theirs, only to have it abruptly transform into uncontrollable thunder. Hear me clearly, my darling chosen ones. Your voice, the one they undervalued and thought would remain hidden under their version of events, has turned into the earthquake that is shattering all of the lies they told about you. They relied on your silence. They relied on your name being written in their script rather than yours, your mouth being restrained, and your truth being swallowed. However, that season is finished. Your voice no longer just speaks. You've entered a new realm. It trembles. And let's face it, the one that was selected. You didn't just start talking louder. You gained weight. The weight of all you've suffered now weighs down your words. Betrayal, desertion, and rejection. And that's why they struck so forcefully. It's not sound. It's the truth. And the one weapon that no adversary can disarm is the truth. They have the power to discredit you, fabricate stories about you, and launch campaigns of backbiting rumors. However, their house of cards trembles the moment you speak and provide your side. Because nothing destroys fabrication more quickly than truth presented with conviction. Consider it. Because you were silent, they thought you were under control. Being silent allowed them to make you the supporting character while portraying themselves as the hero. Being silent allowed them to change history without anybody objecting. Now, however, whenever you speak, you reveal the flaws they have been attempting to hide. You have become the responsibility they never requested but are unable to avoid. And what do you know? Some individuals are no longer able to look you in the eye because of this. Thus, your voice serves as a mirror. It stings when they see themselves reflected in your reality. Perhaps you're wondering why my voice shakes them so much. This is the solution, as it demonstrates that they never had the authority they believe they did. They told you that the only way to survive was to remain silent. They warned that speaking out will lose you opportunities, connections, and acceptance. However, if you were the chosen one, being silent didn't just lose you those things. You paid for yourself. You swallowed a piece of your strength each time you bit your tongue. And you're not saying you're sorry now that you've taken it back. It's not something you are bargaining for. It's being used by you. Additionally, the earth is shaking under their feet. Think about this for a minute. While others occupied all the room, you were the one who squished around at the table for years. The roles are now reversed. They're writhing in their seats while you're standing tall. It is unpleasant to develop. However, you don't have to bear the agony this time. Picked one. They own it. They can no longer act as if you don't see, understand, or feel anything. They can no longer live in the luxury of denial because of your voice. The thing that hurts them the most is this. Not even their names are being called. You are not required to. Without you pointing a finger, your truth pierces through every false story because it is so plain and cutting. That's why some individuals twitch just by seeing you. When you walk in, the vibe changes because of this. Because you have broken their wall of quiet. Let's investigate further. Why now? What has made your voice so captivating and unstoppable? Because you've experienced enough storms to understand the importance of peace. Speaking isn't about picking battles, as you've discovered. It's about putting a stop to lying. It's not your place to dispute. You come to explain. You aren't here to plead for faith. You're here to say what's true. And everyone who relied on your quiet to gain power is at risk from that confidence. Recognize this. You always had a strong voice. It didn't show up out of nowhere. It was there all the time. However, you were surrounded by those who wanted to make you question it back then. Don't say too much. You'll lose them. Keep it down. You'll make enemies. But if you were the chosen one, your quiet wasn't keeping you safe. It was keeping them safe. They are unsure of what to do now that the mute button has been broken. The retaliation then writes itself. You don't have to yell. There's no need to dispute. You don't have to demonstrate. It is sufficient to talk with the authority of someone who has experienced life, gained knowledge, and risen. Your voice sounds like thunder because of this. Volume isn't the issue. It has to do with vibration. It holds the rhythm of someone who survived the fire and returned radiant, the frequency of survival, and evidence of resiliency. And they are unable to match that frequency. They are unable to silence it. The only thing they can fear is that. Here's what I want you to keep in mind, selected ones. You are more than simply a voice. It's strength. It is the beginning of your legacy and the last chapter of their falsehoods. The background vocalist role in someone else's performance is over. The stage is trembling under your feet, and you are the lead. Allow them to feel uneasy. Don't make eye contact with them. The fact is that every time you talk, you take away the backdrop they believed to be theirs forever. So let them murmur in circles. Keep this in mind. Their dream is a chosen quiet. Their worst dread is a speaking chosen one. You're living rent-free in their nightmares at the moment. Continue discussing the selected one. Everyone will listen, even if they don't applaud. The earthquake they didn't anticipate is the biggest factor. Breaking chains concealed in the family tree is number 7. The rotting fruit falls to the ground when a family tree sways. When someone they underestimate chooses to cease performing their given duty, it jars individuals more than anything else. This is when the spotlight becomes even more intense, my beloved chosen ones. Not only outside, where pals, phony admirers, or ex-partners are coming back, but inside your own family. Yes, as the chosen one rises, even the family tree begins to tremble. Since your shine makes those closest to you confront things they've been avoiding for years, it does more than simply make outsiders envious. You see, you were supposed to play the role of the peacekeeper for a long time. The one who kept silent about dysfunction, who smiled in the face of turmoil, and who swallowed pain in order to make the family photo seem nice on the outside. That's simply the way it is, you were told. However, those who were selected were never intended to dwell in prisons constructed by silence or custom. And the tree began to shake the day you took a stand and established limits. The branches that relied on your adherence are trembling, cracking of those who benefited by your silence, and those who in private prayed for someone to end the cycle. Since you accomplished what they were unable to, they are at last breathing easy. Let's be honest now. Selected one. There's nothing glamorous about appending the family tree. It weighs a much. It's solitary. You seem to be bearing the burden of generations because, in a sense, you are. You're doing more than just living your life. Patterns are being rewritten by you. Only you have the audacity to declare that this is over with me. And not everyone is happy with that. Why? Thus your development serves as a mirror. Where others have refused to develop, it reflects. And you break their whole script when you refuse to give in to guilt, when you stop acting for other people's approval, and when you refuse to accept emotional blackmail. The blowback, the side eye at parties, the murmurs as you leave the room, and the guilt trips disguised as advice are probably already familiar to you. However, keep in mind that setting limits is not treachery. They serve as defense. They serve as barriers for your tranquility, your mission, and the generations that will profit from the conflict you are now engaged in. Saying no to manipulation means accepting a healthier lineage each time. You are sowing the seeds for a fresh season of development each time you refuse to be pulled back into destructive debates. Consider it akin to tree trimming. You must remove the unhealthy branches in order to strengthen it. Is the tree resistant? Naturally. However, the whole tree thrives when the rod is removed. You are the chosen one. Your family tree is being pruned. To make the remaining fruit stronger, healthier, and able to bear healthy fruit, you shake it until the rotten fruit falls away. Indeed, some members of the family will adjust. They will respect the limits and admire your bravery. Others, however, may withdraw themselves because they can't bear losing power over you, not because you've done anything wrong. And it's okay. The distance turns out to be a boon. For here's another reality. Blood isn't the only aspect of family. People who respect your limits, treat you like family, and applaud your victories without feeling jealous aren't always those who have your last name. And that's all right. You're not going to lose your family. You're making one, choice by choice, block by brick. Instead of taking advantage of your unique soul, you're surrounded by people who appreciate it. However, I have a question for you, selected one. Isn't that how loyalty and real love should feel? Family is there to support you, not to quiet you, to build you, not to break you. And why should someone in your lineage be allowed to continue draining you because of their status if they are incapable of doing that? Respect is not inherited, it must be earned. Here's where your power really shines. Not in the cheers of strangers, but in the bravery to face the long-running, unbroken cycles. You're doing more than simply altering your life. Generations are being healed by you. Your ancestors' DNA is being reprogrammed. When you speak out, the bonds of dysfunction, manipulation, and silence break. Refusing to be guilt-tripped back into a position that never suited you in the first place is what happens when you hold your ground. It's uncomfortable, too. The earth does really tremble. However, luxurious lifestyles were never intended for chosen ones. You were destined to have meaningful lives, and disruption is necessary for effect. Shaking the tree will cause the weak fruit to fall off, exposing the strong branches that can support fresh development. So, my beloved selected ones, take pride. Don't mistake loyalty for guilt. Silence is not the same as tranquility. Additionally, distance does not equate to failure. Forcing your family to confront the truth, even if it makes them angry with you, is sometimes the best thing you can do for them, because they realize in their hearts that the change you're doing is essential. They realize deep down that the family tree has always required your strength. So continue to shake that tree. Allow the spoiled fruit to fall. Where necessary, let the fractures to show, because you'll witness something amazing once all is said and done. Your development, your lineage's growth, and the next season of growth will be stronger, healthier, and more liberated than any previous one. And most individuals will never have the courage to bear that selected one sort of power. Why a lion never responds to every bark is the 8th question. The lion continues to move while the dog barks. When your adversary is doing all in their power to shatter you, nothing irritates them more than seeing you remain composed. You're now at this stage, my lovely selected ones. The version of yourself who felt the need to respond to every charge, retort to every slur, or defend yourself to every skeptic has grown out of you. In the past, you would have squandered hours defending your name to individuals who would never have paid attention. The hottie you've been talking about, the new you, is too busy shining to dispute with shadows. Consider it. Does a lion pause and provide an explanation when a puppy howls at it? Does roaring back at each sound number waste time? The lion knows what it is, so it continues to walk unfazed. And selected one, which is now you, your words no longer have the same impact as your silence. Your self-control has turned into a weapon more effective than any retaliation. And your adversaries are going wild because of your ability to maintain your position without compromising yourself. This is what they will never say. Your growth is unaffected by them. Your radiance is unmatched by others. They also can't stop you from rising. What do then? They'll out a bark. To gain your attention, they whisper behind your back, publish hidden messages, promote rumors, and hurl shade. Why? Because your energy is costly, and attention is energy. Your every response is like money. You also avoid investing in subpar stocks. Let's be honest, chosen ones. The only way the adversary can defeat your development is to trick you into destroying yourself. Since they can only compete in the mud, they urge you to leave your throne and enter it. They attempt to undermine your character since they know they can't match your discipline. They want to upset your tranquility since they can't equal it. They attempt to divert your attention since they can't make you less radiant. However, you've mastered the game and are now playing more strategically. Now ask yourself this. In the past, how many times did you exhaust yourself battling with individuals who were determined to misunderstand you? When you wrote pages to folks who didn't appreciate your argument regardless, how many nights did you lose sleep? How many times have you left a disagreement feeling more depleted than when you began? The trap was that resolution was never what they want. They desired a response, which provided them with authority. However, the script has been reversed for selected ones. The true clapback is now your grin when they anticipated anger. The true headline is your quiet when they anticipated turmoil. Detachment has become your defense. It also frightens them, because when a provocateur realizes they can no longer influence you, nothing irritates them more. You don't even flinch, so they can't boast about getting under your skin. When you don't offer them anything to twist, they can't. When you've put limits around yourself, they can't drain your energy. Allow me to provide you with a truth that clarifies this. Human behavior studies reveal that individuals are drawn to predictable responses because they feel in control of them. They lose control when you stop being predictable and providing them the drama they're looking for. Suddenly, they're left wondering why their tricks aren't working and standing in the dark, swinging at shadows. They recognize they've lost the game at that point. Imagine it, a selected one. Someone criticizes you while you're at the top of your game, the hottie that everyone is talking about. Everyone else keeps a careful eye on you, wondering whether you'll lose it. Instead, you continue to win, grin, and stroll. A shout could never convey the same message as that moment of restraint. This is the force of choosing restraint. I'm untouchable. I'm not competing on your level. I don't argue with irrelevance. The humiliation is reversed for them. Yes, selected ones, I am aware that silence may be burdensome at times. You seem to be allowing them to get away with it. Silence, however, is not a sign of weakness. Being silent is a tactic. They are forced to consider their own statements when there is silence. Being silent makes them understand that they have no control over you, only the power you choose to provide them. They're left with nothing but their own noise now that you've ceased supplying it to them. This is the true triumph. You become higher each time you choose peace over pettiness. You maintain your vitality each time you reject bait. You demonstrate that they are unable to reach your core each time you allow their noise to drift into the background. And nothing frightens an adversary more than letting them know they can no longer contact you. So keep this in mind, my beloved selected ones. Though powerful, your roar isn't appropriate for every bark. Keep it for important conflicts. Keep it for when your dreams call for it. Keep it for times that will determine your future. Because being able to make noise isn't the true flex. It's your ability to remain composed while they're hurling mayhem at your head. That serenity is strength. Control is that serenity. They can't stop talking about you because of your serenity. Here's the final reality. Permit them to bark. Allow them to rumor. Give it a go. Playing their game is not why you are here. To win your own is why you're here. Continue walking. Choose one. The world is reminded that you are a lion with each silent stride you take. Moreover, lions and dogs do not quarrel. The ninth tactic they use is to force you to defeat yourself. You choose not to fall into the trap they create. If enemies can fool you into killing yourself, they don't have to destroy you. That is the cutting reality you must grasp at this very moment, my beloved chosen ones. You are now higher. There is no denying your shine. Additionally, your name has become a magnet. That brightness, however, is accompanied by shadows, and those shadows include faces from your past that are attempting to pull the oldest trick in the book. They are aware that they cannot match your advancement. They are unable to lessen your brilliance or prevent the doors from opening for you. What is their plan, then? Easy. They will attempt to have you beat yourself if they are unable to defeat you. They can't stop talking about you because you're so attractive. Their justifications are not as burning as your presence. Their quiet was never as loud as your accomplishment. And it bothers them because they know deep down that they have no more influence on your life, decisions, or course. Therefore, they crawl back with phony grins, cordial welcomes, and nostalgia rather than facing you head on. Sayings like, "I've missed you," or "remember when," are not meant to show concern, but rather to lower your defenses. They want you vulnerable, open, and unprotected. Why? Thus they may insert that sarcastic remark, that little stab, that provocative trigger. Selected one. How many times have you been accused of being an overreactor in the past? How many times did they poke, prod, and press, just waiting for you to explode so they could sit back and say, "See, they're unstable"? That was the narrative they tried to chain you to. That was the trick. Bait you into reacting so they could point the finger and rewrite the story. But that story doesn't work anymore. Not with you. Not in this season. Think of it like a circus. The clowns perform. They wave their arms. They juggle chaos. They even try to pull you into their ring. And the crowd waits, expecting you to jump in, to roar, to swing. But the chosen one doesn't step into the circus. The chosen one stays on the throne. Because here's the truth. The real trap isn't the insult. It's the reaction. They don't win by attacking you. They win if you lose your composure. They win if you let their noise drag you down to their level. And here's the punch that burns them the most. Your silence. Silence is the crown you where that they can't steal. Silence tells them you no longer have access to me. Silence tells them you can bark, but lions don't answer every dog in the street. Silence tells them your relevance expired the day I stopped feeding you. That's the part that cuts them deepest. Not your words, but your lack of them. My dear chosen ones, detachment is your weapon now. Like a martial artist who flips an opponent's energy back onto them. You use their provocation as proof that you're untouchable. When they throw shade, you let the sunlight of your success blind them. When they poke at old wounds, you remind them with your calmness that those scars healed into armor. When they bait you with lies, you let your results speak louder than any rebuttal. And yes, I hear your question, but why test me now when I've finally found my stride? Because tests always come before breakthroughs. Distractions are the universe's way of asking, are you really ready for what's next? And nothing proves readiness like refusing to dance when the circus opens its tent. Anyone can shine in peace. But the chosen one proves their power by staying composed in chaos. History shows us this over and over again. Leaders, visionaries, icons, none of them rose without being baited. They were lied about, mocked, underestimated. But their power wasn't in the argument. It was in the restraint. They didn't fight every rumor. They didn't chase every critic. They understood a timeless rule. Energy is currency. And you, chosen one, don't waste your currency on debt you'll never collect. So when they show up smiling with sabotage behind their teeth, don't flinch. Let them choke on the silence. Let them simmer in the distance. Let them realize that the very access they crave is the one thing they'll never get again. Because that's the ultimate win. Not proving them wrong with words, but proving them irrelevant with peace. And here's what will really sting them.